Coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, this is The Tracie Austin Show, the program that covers paranormal phenomenon, the supernatural, the highly strange, from the far corners of the world, with three-time Telly Award winner TV host, researcher, and author, Tracie Austin. And now, leading tonight's program, here's Tracie.
And thank you for joining me tonight on the show here in the world's capital of entertainment, Las Vegas. You're in the right place at the right time. This is the Tracie Austin Show. And of course, I'm your host, Tracie Austin. Now, my guest tonight is none other than Don Phillips, international paranormal researcher, and who can only be described as an incredible animal healer. And as we're talking to Don on the show tonight, I'd like for you to check out his website, americansupernatural.com. And Don is a very successful paranormal researcher in the UK and has been involved with the paranormal subject for many, many years, appearing on British commercial TV, including ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, showcasing much of his work. And of course, being a fellow Brit myself, I know those channels very, very well. Don has also been content advisor for other shows and has worked with Fuji TV, filming across various states in the US on their JADE HELM documentary. And Don is the owner of Raven Media Production Company, and his goal is to bring you the very best in paranormal documentaries in his Uncovered series, offering viewers something completely different and steering away from the usual paranormal show format, and instead opting to shoot everything on the fly as it happens. There are no rehearsals, there is nothing staged or made up, and everything you see with Don's work is real. He's traveled throughout the US investigating some of the most notorious cases, delving deep into the myths, legends, and bringing you top-tier, unrivaled content and genuine entertainment that you won't find anywhere else. And Don is very fortunate in being able to draw out paranormal activity in the most haunted of locations. In fact, you may have already watched his featured documentary, Demons in Seattle Uncovered. And if you haven't, head over to Don's secondary YouTube channel, The Supernatural Files, to watch it. And in putting this documentary together, Don has traveled all the way from the UK to Seattle as he was called to seek out any evidence to substantiate claims that the home of Keith Linder was truly active, and successfully was able to substantiate Keith's claims that his home was haunted, producing real, tangible, and testable evidence. And of course, I interviewed Keith Linder on my show a couple of years ago about his haunted home, and he openly talked with me about the constant demonic activity he and his then girlfriend experienced in the house. Well, what can I say? For the first time, and finally, because we've been trying to make this happen now for the longest time, let's meet Don Phillips.
Hi,
hello,
Tracie.
my friend. Good
Hello.
evening.
We
How
finally
are you?
made it, I guess.
We finally made it, Don.
We finally made it.
It's only taken, what, a couple of years to get here?
2 or 3 years, yeah. Quite a long time. How are you?
Because you've been busy, I've been busy, and finally we're making this happen. So let's see. How's everything in your neck of the woods there in the UK?
Oh, do you know what? Pretty much bouncing along, riding the waves of COVID and all the problems that come with it. Pretty much like everybody else. I mean, obviously, production side and everything else pretty much come to a total standstill over the last 13, 14 months. So it's just trying to pick up the pieces now as things are moving along a little, and just want to get back on track, Tracie.
What part of the UK are you in, Don? I forget.
Leicester.
Leicester, okay. And your fiancée, Patty, obviously she accompanies you on most of your investigations, doesn't she?
My lovely Patty, yes.
Your lovely Patty.
She's in Seattle, and that's where we are getting married once the visa thing resumes and everything, and I spend a lot of time in America, obviously. I've spent a lot of time as well. That's where I'm heading.
Right. Well, we can't wait to have you over this side of the neck of the woods over here. So we're hoping that you can do that quickly. Now, you and I, Don, we've known each other for several years, and I've always known you as this man with an exceptional and rare paranormal abilities, if I can say that. And on your American Supernatural website, I saw that you had written, well, what you'd said was that you didn't see yourself as a ghost hunter as such, but more of an exploratory researcher who has had great success within your field, often leaving parapsychologists perplexed and scratching their heads as to the hows and whys of what you do, which of course you do very effectively. And I'm still somewhat scratching my head, to be honest, because it seems that what you do is so mysterious, it's so miraculous, it's so mind-blowing.
I just call it different.
You call it different, of course. And I was going to say, but not to you. It doesn't sound all of those things to you. So if you will, Don, explain to our listeners tonight watching and listening to the show, what this amazing ability is that you possess and how it works.
Well, that's a pretty big question, Tracie. I'll try and give you the short version. It doesn't matter what I say tonight. No one's going to actually truly understand what I do, how I do it, or my involvement with my friend Becky. Becky is a spirit with a difference, let's say. She's been with me now for 9 years. Now, rather than just claiming I've got a spirit friend or guide or whatever called Becky, she's actually been proven to exist in many ways. She's substantiated herself. She gives information of things that are going to happen before they happen. To the point, even when Patty was over here during the height of the COVID, she was due to go back on a plane. And Becky said, "Don't get on the plane." Now, there's a reason for that, and we don't question why. So we didn't. We got there another flight. When I got back from Seattle, end of January, every day while I was in Seattle for 3 months, I went to the well-known superstore for groceries and everything. And this particular day, I was about to go out, and Becky says, "Don't go out today." Now, again, I didn't question why, but I can only assume either one or two things would have happened. Either she foresaw me having some kind of car crash on the way, or on that particular day, I may have actually got COVID. I believe later we're going to play a couple of clips of Becky just answering a couple of things. Like I say, she substantiated herself on many levels to parapsychologists and everything, and they've been totally blown away and saying this cannot happen. I've heard her talking out of the air in real time and things like that, which obviously is unprecedented. And to be honest, at some point, I feel Steve Merritt said, this is what the paranormal field has been waiting for, something that's repeatable, something that's testable scientifically, and you can produce that. Yes, I can. The problem I have is, initially, there's a lot of interest, and it tends to get put into this little box then that, oh, that's interesting, and it never gets taken any further. And I just think that science, on a scientific level, paranormal level, public level, information level, there's a lot being missed here. This should be taken seriously. This is a subject which should be taken seriously, but as I've said many times over the years, it's just been watered down with lots of misconceptions and everything else. And I think that's a great shame. There's a great deal that people could learn, as I've learned over the years about this.
Right. And very well said. And just for our listeners who may not know who Steve Merritt is, Steve Merritt is a parapsychologist in the UK, and he's actually editor-in-chief of Phenomena magazine.
And he was also a staunch skeptic that was going to come and debunk me within an hour. That was his plan. Yeah. And
that failed.
That failed miserably.
Yeah. If I can say to you, Don, that your abilities, they really do seem to be, and I know this is going to sound crazy to our listeners tonight, but if I can say that your abilities seem to be somewhat superhuman in a sense. Just like we see these characters in movies with phenomenal superhuman capabilities. Would you agree with me with that? I mean, would you say they are kind of superhuman? And is it paranormal or is it supernatural for you?
Okay, on the first thing, I would say it's different. Okay, I don't like labels of any sort, you know that. Okay, so yeah, what I do is different. It's certainly different to everybody else. Okay, supernatural, paranormal, pretty much both. I know people are not seeing these clips yet, but they need to understand that this is not all about Don Phillips. This is possible because of my union with Becky, which we've formed a very close relationship over a long time. Again, to people hearing this before they see the clips and understand, that's just a claim like the many thousands others out there. What we will show by the end of this show is we will add substantiation to that claim. So what I do is me and Becky working together. That's how it works.
Right, exactly. And I know, like you've said, Don, that you prefer not to use any labels such as a medium or psychic as such.
Yeah, I've been called many things over many years, but you know what? I just maintain, as I have from day one, I'm Don Phillips and I do what I do.
I totally agree. I totally agree with what you're saying. And I have to say to our listeners here, you and I have never met in person, Don.
Unbelievably.
I know. And we've been in communication since 2015. And I have to say to our listeners here that Don does not have any ego whatsoever. There is no ego behind what Don does. Don is very genuine. He's very sincere in this ability that he has and trying to get people to understand this ability.
Take notice.
Right, and taking notice. And I hope by the end of the show tonight that our listeners and our viewers will be able to see just what remarkable ability you have.
To the point, a top Russian physicist, whose name I'm not going to mention because when I mentioned it in a previous video, I got, apparently the Kremlin wasn't happy and said, can I remove his name because of the Cold War? So I did. So what I'm going to say is a top Russian physicist was totally fascinated by all of this and wanted me to go over to work with him and experiments and things, but that didn't actually happen. So there was a lot of interest out there. The other thing is as well. Sorry, carry on.
No, you said the Kremlin.
Yeah,
the Kremlin.
Yeah, one of the other things about that's been put to me is you need to be careful what you're telling people, and as far as I'm concerned, I am. But as obviously there's an experiment coming up where Becky's telling me what Steve's doing 140 miles away. Becky's my eyes and ears, and the fact that she can spy on people for me and tell me what's going on, that's a big deal. And it's also been suggested that just maybe somebody somewhere might want to make use of that at some point. You know, I've never had any. I mean, obviously it's a big deal if it's proven, but you know, to go put all this research into remote viewing, this is like the next level up. But never been contacted, not got a problem, so I'm going to carry on as I am doing, just telling people what's happening and putting it out and let them form their own conclusions.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you. And this is why I wanted to do the show with you. And it's happening tonight, so we're super happy about that. Before we start to show some clips to our viewers, Don, tell me a little bit about your childhood. Did you display these abilities as a kid? Were you always that kid that was so different from every other kid?
Okay. My childhood was very far from average, and I don't mean for spiritual or paranormal reasons. My younger years, I was the guy that was always bullied at school to a great extent, and lived a lot of my childhood days in fear for one reason or another. I was born in Gibraltar, military hospital. My father was in the army. I was over there, and then before we actually moved over to the UK when I was very young. Excuse me. Maybe I need to heal that.
It's okay.
And the weird thing is, and this is weird, as I think back now, from the age of 5 or 6, I mean, obviously, years ago, there wasn't the paranormal stuff that was out there. There wasn't these programs. I would do like really weird things. It was like I almost knew I could do something, but you know, you got the end of the bedpost. I would get something on a piece of cotton and hang it, and I would sit there like this, just trying to move it with my mind. I mean, that's crazy. A guy that's 6 or 7 years old. It never happened. It never ever happened. But thinking back now, I just always felt like there was something going on, that I could do something, and I didn't make any sense of it. But I mean, all that changed when I was about 7, as you know. But yeah, it was an interesting childhood, but not all in a positive sense. So, you know, bullying and living in fear and that quite a lot of the time, until one day you realise you have to take it, but that's a whole other story.
Right, understandably. Any family members that have the same ability as you?
No.
No, because I know you have a daughter, but she doesn't possess the same abilities, does she?
Like I've already explained previously, my union with Becky enables me to do what I do. So therefore, that's probably why there's only me that's doing it.
Right. What does your family think about your abilities, Don? You know, because you do have your daughter, your mum. What do they think?
Oh, my mum does the normal son stuff. When he was born, I always knew he was going to be special. I'm sure a lot of mums say that, you know, kind of thing. My daughter's totally on board with it. My daughter's from a very young age. It was quite funny. She'd come into the workshop and she heard me talking one day, and she was only like 5, 6 in the garden, and she went, "Mummy, Daddy's talking to his, what did you say? Daddy's talking to his imaginary friends again," or something, you know, when she was really small. But she's grew up with it. She understands what I do. She's got a good insight to things. She accepts it. And to be honest, my daughter is my worst critic. So if my daughter's into this, then trust me, there's something to it.
Right. Oh, I get it. I get it totally. I totally get it. Before we start to talk about some of the haunted locations, Don, that you've investigated, as well as the healing ability that you have and have demonstrated on camera over and over again, and we're going to show those clips tonight in a few moments. Just to mention for a moment, very importantly, as you have done, she's a big part of what you do, your partner in crime, if she won't mind me calling her that. I'm not referring to your lovely Patty here, but obviously your female spirit of the name Becky, and you've explained who Becky is. She's been with you for 9 years, and basically that to me, that is what I see that's different that you do in your investigations that I haven't seen with any other investigators.
I rely on Becky. I rely on Becky totally, asking a question to tell me what's going on, all sorts of things. Becky is an integral part of what I do, but you know what? We use each other. It's a good relationship.
Right. Well, I do want to ask some further questions about Becky, but before I do that, because I know our listeners would probably want to know a little bit more about Becky, but I'm going to show a clip here. And I want to start with an introduction of one of these intro videos, just to give our viewers some idea of who you are, Don. For our listeners who are not watching the show tonight, if you want to go over to the YouTube channel and watch it so that you can see exactly what we're showing, because we're going to be showing a lot of video tonight, and it's important for not only to hear what Don is saying, but it's important for you to watch what Don is doing. So I want to show this very first clip of what Don can do.
Phillips' reputation and following is growing fast, gathering attention both within and outside the UK, within the paranormal research circles and communities. Inexplicable events coupled with their uncanny frequency are helping Don Phillips become possibly one of the most significant names among paranormal researchers this century. Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe is also convinced of Don's effectiveness, having studied the field for more than 50 years and being a former president of the Association for the Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena.
Don certainly seems to have a unique ability in this area. Over many years, I'm sure that what he is doing is absolutely honest, and I look forward to investigating his communications as well as whatever entities he may be communicating with.
Don's reputation spread. It caught the attention of Ben Emlyn Jones, who was promptly invited along to a public session.
This is the first time I heard of Becky, and I heard a complete conversation between Becky and Don. Absolutely gobsmacked I was.
Now, what we did was Don played the recordings. He did some of these recordings for EVP or AVP, actual voice phenomena, he calls it. And some of them were extremely impressive, including one particular one in which you hear a number of men singing. like a male voice choir, and there's another one in which you hear several young boys, sounds like young boys anyway, talking loudly and very clearly indeed.
That's the most incredible
Extremely impressive. And I was actually there when that was recorded, and I can assure you there were no noises, no sounds coming in at all at that time. We were all sitting there quietly while Don was pressing the record button.
Renowned parapsychologist Steve Merrer's first encounter on location with Don also left him with more questions than answers.
He was listening to what he believes is some type of communication from the spirits, and of course what's happened, the result of that is that Don not only picked out the right envelope, he also picked out the correct item that was in it. Well, it was an extremely difficult test, because I didn't just bring one envelope, I bought three. You picked one envelope from the three, and not only you picked the right envelope, it's also the right picture in that envelope as well. So statistically speaking, I couldn't even calculate that. It's phenomenal, it really is. And that was quite remarkable, and the results were, as far as I'm concerned, quite amazing.
There we are. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, Don. Let me just say here. So, Steve Merrer, you did a test with Steve Merrer.
Yeah, basically, this is his first time he met me. This was the time he wanted to come and debunk me, and he met me before we went to this specific location. He said to his colleague that, Don's a really nice guy, I don't want to do this, because he saw stuff on YouTube, thought it can't be real. And Steve openly admits that, he will destroy people if he thinks anything hoax or fake, and that's what he thought was going on here. This 1 hour turned into about, I think it was 9 or 10 hours on location. Becky was talking, the spirits was talking, answering questions. Even his partner, we did some experiments, Faraday experiments, the answers and everything was coming. And then Steve whipped these envelopes out. So I've got 3 double sealed envelopes here. It's a very difficult test. I want you to tell me, pick an envelope and tell me exactly what's in there. It could have been one of millions and millions of pictures, but it couldn't be something similar to. It had to be specific. At that point, I said, well, that's okay, Steve, because obviously I'm going to ask Becky. He said, yeah, I want you to ask Becky. And I said, well, yeah, but you assume and surely knows, because this is the thing. People assume that spirits just automatically know everything. So at that point, I said, Steve, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to stay in this room. I'd like to take your sealed envelopes, go into the other room, open them, show the picture, put it back in the envelope, reseal them, then come in, and then we'll begin the experiment. Steve said, oh, okay. So we did that. Now, the communications vary sometimes depending on the atmospherics, the conditions. So it wasn't 100% clear as I'd like it to have been. So first of all, I put the envelopes out. I said, Becky, which envelope? And I was sitting there waiting for kind of something to happen, just put my hands over one, hoping I was going to get a feeling, a buzz, as I call it, from Becky, because she does that a lot. Mm-hmm. Nothing happened. So I thought, okay. So I thought, I'll be patient. And then without even thinking, I just grabbed an envelope. And then I think it was envelope 3. And Steve said, okay, well, what's the picture inside it? I said, Becky, guys, what's inside the envelope? I asked them about 4 times, I believe, because it was clearish, but not clear enough. And I wanted to beat this test, because apparently this test was devised by the Rhine Institution over 100 years ago. And the pass rate on this, especially first time, is the numbers are way down there. Really? Like Steve said, statistically, he couldn't even put a figure on it. So in the end, I could hear Becky, and I couldn't make my mind up whether she's saying light or kite. So in the end, I listened. So I took another one, and it was, I said, did you say kite? And then I'd put the recorder on again. And one of the other guys said, you've done it. When he said, you've done it, I knew that the kite was the answer. So I said, Steve, envelope number 3, it's a kite. Steve couldn't remember because the envelopes weren't marked. Steve couldn't even remember what was in the envelopes at that point. So when he opened it, he about fell out his chair. He said, do you realise what you've just done? And I just, being me, said, well, what you asked us to do. Do you know what? If something's real, then there's nothing to fear. There's no trick here. My words to Steve were, you know what, next time, let's do it with 20 envelopes, 50 envelopes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference, because if it's real, then the same results will occur. Yeah,
that's right. If it's real, it'll happen, and I'm sure it will.
That's right.
For our listeners, Don, what does Becky look like? Can you describe her?
No.
Really? So she doesn't show herself to you in a physical way?
You know what? Because of what I do and what I put out, at any point over the last 9 or more years, I could have said to people, yeah, I can see spirits and this. Who's not going to believe me? I can sense them. So if I say there's a lady here, if I do that, obviously, and she speaks, obviously it's a lady, which has validated that. So what was to stop me saying, oh, I can see there's a lady here making out? I can't see spirits at all.
You can't see them.
Then you know what, Becky, because actually it was quite recently. Well, I'd say very recently. Last time I was in Seattle with Patty, so I got back at the end of January. I was saying, Becky, sometimes I get a mental imagery thing, which I don't want to go into because I don't understand it. But I said, Becky, did you have brown? I said to Patty, I think Becky might have had brown hair. I said, Becky, did you have brown hair? And she went, yes. So all I know is she had brown hair. That's as much as I can tell you for now, you know?
Really? Well, let me ask you this, because I'm sure this is a question that maybe our listeners want to ask you. Why was she assigned, if I can say assigned to you, do you think? Because she's only been with you for 9 years, you said.
Well, that's quite some time.
Oh, it is. Don't get me wrong. It's quite some time.
Years.
But she hasn't been with you there from a young boy, has she?
No, but other things were, shall we say. Mm-hmm. Becky, I don't know, these are difficult questions to answer, to be honest, not because I can't, but because people wouldn't understand. Okay.
Right.
There's in one of the things from, I don't know if you've got the picture, the portal in the kitchen on that location. That's the location where I met Becky. And I first got to know because I could tell there was a very strong presence there. And that's the name. And it was Becky. Okay. And I was blown away with the recording. It's fantastic. And at this time, you'll understand, I've never had a problem getting recording voices from communicating with spirits even prior to Becky. So that's always been my thing. Okay. And I said, Becky, can you take the temperature down? And she went, yes. And we went down, I think it was 16, 17 degrees in about 6 or 7 minutes. Wow. That video is actually on YouTube. And then Becky goes, can you take the temperature back up again? And she went, yes. And Tony was sitting at the side of me. And there's another clip on YouTube of a similar thing. And it's that cold in there. And this is the middle of summer. You can see me breathing, and the air is pure white. You can see my breath is white. And Tony's sitting there like this, saying, can you say to take it back up again? So I was obviously fascinated with Becky and got to know Becky. I was obviously very cautious, as you would be. I mean, hey, you know, it's a helpful spirit. I mean, where we heard that story before, right? Right. But then there were certain other things that she made me aware of, and things that she showed me, and the relationship ensued from there. And I basically said, Becky, do you want to join me on doing what I do? She did, and the relationship developed. I got information about the other side that would blow people's mind that is not even out there. But I'm very cautious about putting anything out, because some people are just going to totally diss it. Other people are going to go, oh, he thinks he's an expert. Other people are just not going to want to hear it, you know. So what do I do, Tracie? You can't put everything out publicly.
No, you can't. And it's a difficult, I totally understand it's a difficult position that you're in. Because the believability for people that, you know, we could show all these videos tonight of what you do, and people may still not believe.
Well, that's fine. You know what? People can form their own conclusions, but all they need to know is it's what I do. It works. I'm honest. I'm not a showman. I don't make stuff up. I stand very heavily against a lot of TV shows that are caught faking and make things up just because they're under pressure to perform. This is not about performing. This is about me and Becky and the other spirit guys doing what we do to make a difference, trying to bring a clear message to people. These are people. They're not spirits, just spirit boxes and people to challenge on TV and call demons. And these are people with feelings. These are real people.
Right.
And
absolutely.
That's how I treat them.
Yeah. I do I do have some other questions I want to ask about Becky, and I will shortly, Don. I do want to go on to the second clip of the introduction clip that you sent over, but something I just wanted to say to you that I mentioned, I noticed in the first video, one of the guys said that you call it an AVP, not an EVP. I found that fascinating.
Well, electronic voice phenomena, I mean, generally the consensus is from skeptics is that obviously it's an electronically generated noise which resembles speech, which is born from ambient sounds and everything else. Okay. The thing is, when you're getting voice replies coming out of the air, being heard coming out of the air and being captured on video camera as opposed to digital recorder, they are answering direct questions in clear English. That doesn't fall under the definition of an EVP, because if you actually look at the definition of the EVP, these just do not fall under that definition. You know, ambient sound resembling speech. This is nothing resembling speech. This is speech.
Right.
So I came up with the actual voice phenomenon quite a long time ago, which I know a few paranormal groups have adopted it. Some of it, fair enough. Some of them, they just decide to use that instead of calling it an EVP. It's got to be instantaneous. It's got to be on the spot. It's got to be played back on the same time. It's got to be related to a question, and it's got to be more than just it's got to be a word that you can hear, not something that's recorded that you, like on some of the shows, you take it away, they come back at the end of the show, bearing in mind they've probably been filming the location for 2 days, put it on a laptop, edit it or whatever, and say, this is what we think it says. You know, that is electronic voice phenomena a lot of the time.
Right. And it makes complete sense. And, you know, I've heard my father give messages to me on my cell phone, and also through Tony Rathman's spirit box, the Evox, where he's located in Arizona. So I have to agree. I think I have to call mine AVPs because I know they're my father.
English in relation to a topic or a question, what is the chances of an electronic voice phenomena just making a sound that just sounds like a sentence, a proper English?
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So.
Well, let's do this, Don. Let's go on to our next clip of the introduction that you sent to me, and we'll ask you some questions after this.
This first clip I'm going to show you now, this is the first time I was hit with energy. I was filming for a documentary for Channel 4. The cameraman was tired. We stopped for a coffee.
Need a coffee? Because you're flagging already. Yeah. Jet lag kicking in. Yeah.
Then, from nowhere, I was subjected to a very hard hit of spirit energy. At this time, this energy was totally alien to me, and my body responded accordingly.
Jeez.
I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have a clue at this stage what was going on.
My God, I feel dizzy, mate. Sit down. Oh, what happened?
Wow. We can clearly see there how you're reacting, that something just boom right out of thin air.
It knocked me for six. And obviously, you know, the public saw that for the first time. It's the first time it happened. You know, what's he doing? He's faking it. He's doing this. He's doing that. Do you know what? Whatever. No, I wasn't. And obviously, the following clips that we're going to see shortly will actually prove that is not the case. I didn't expect it. I didn't know what it was. It felt totally alien to me. My eyes were streaming. I just felt this. Just took my breath away. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Does your body heat rise, Don?
Do you know what? I have no idea. And this is the other problem I've got. Doing what I do now, I've been just screaming out for scientists, you know what, come and put some probes on me, see what happens, you know, with my body, you know, with my temperature, with my heart, with this and everything else, energy around me, static, whatever. We can get measurements from this because this is a powerful energy. To date, nothing. So at some point, and even if I can't afford this, I'm actually at the point now where I'm beep off. Right. I'm going to actually, where it's I can afford it myself at the time, where I do crowdfunding to buy some proper scientific equipment, the helmet, the probes and everything, so we can actually carry on, do some proper scientific measures of actually what's going on with my body and how it affects any atmospherics around me or anything like that. So we can actually prove, I won't ever be able to prove that that's spirit energy.
Right.
I'll never be able to prove that that's Becky, but you know what? We can prove that there's something. And if there's something to substantiate what I'm saying and there's no other explanation for it, then obviously.
It's very interesting to watch how this suddenly happens. And is it like that all the time? Do you experience that when that happens? The same.
Excuse me. I also connect with spirits. And sometimes I get really strong blasts like that. That happened in Brookdale. That's never been shown on film. They all witnessed it. That's when I started getting information. You know, Ian Gunner, he's been there when this has occurred. We've got information which we've discovered, uncovered later on to verify that, whether it's somebody that's been murdered and never been, you know, there's a whole array of stuff that I do. The energy is pretty much the same. But yeah, that first one totally knocked me for 6. But then again, with the help of Becky, something changed, and I found I was able to, well, through Becky's will, to be honest with you, something changed, and I was able to start absorbing this energy and actually using it, which your viewers will see shortly.
And we're going to show that clip. And like I said, I do have more questions to ask about Becky because I find it fascinating. And I think our listeners are finding it fascinating to find out, you know, a little bit more about Becky. But let me play this clip now, because this is going to show our viewers some of what you can do. We haven't got to the best bits yet, folks. So you want to stay glued for the whole of the show with this, because you're going to be absolutely amazed. And once again, for our listeners who are just listening to the audio part of this show tonight, you must go to YouTube to watch this show so that you can see all the video clips that we're playing, which is showing Don at work, which is absolutely real. So here's the clip here of showing what Don is actually doing.
As in this next clip, then I discovered I could use this energy to direct this energy for the purpose intended. He told me I could heal with this energy. I didn't doubt that this was possible if Becky said that it's possible. As time went on, the energies got stronger and stronger and stronger, and I was absorbing these energies more and more and more. It soon came to a point when I felt I needed this feeling, I needed this energy to feel normal. One demonstration of this energy was to take place at Tubby Castle and location with Steve Merrer. By this time, we already knew that I could expel energy. In this clip, you'll notice I tried to move the rods and absolutely nothing happened. This is because as I absorb the energy, it only lasts a certain length of time. It's a little bit like a battery. The energy's got to be there in the first place in order to absorb it, and when I use it, it depletes very, very quickly until the next hit comes along. Shortly thereafter, the portal opened, and again I absorbed the energy. To such an extent, I needed to release it quick. I told Steve, grab the rods. It was too much energy all at once. I needed to get rid of it. I'm being endowed with this energy. I feel extremely strong. That's what's happening now in this clip.
I'm just fucking so pumped. I felt I could lift a car up.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Don, the look on Steve Merrer's face there was a picture to what you were doing with those dowsing rods.
Yeah, I mean that was never an experiment. I knew Steve had got them, and I just needed to expel this energy. I needed a target, so I just said grab the rods, and that's what I aimed it at, basically.
Right. You said that you felt like you could physically pick a car up. I mean, did you really feel that powerful? Every time
I get this energy, I'm not a stupid man. I know I'm not, but you literally feel invincible, and like you could just do anything. It's the feeling is absolutely immense. The strength you just feel, it's crazy.
Well, you can see it in your face. You can see everything in your face there to all the power that's coming from your hands and your whole being to push those dowsing rods like that. So let me ask you this then, Don. Just getting back to Becky for a moment. She is obviously in the astral plane. Yeah. What would you do if she disappeared and she no longer worked with you? How would you feel about that?
Incomplete. I've been feeling this way and been me now for so many years. This sounds like a cliche, but I don't know what it's like to feel normal.
Right.
You know, I get this energy a lot. I can tell when the spirits around me. I communicate with the spirits. This energy as well, obviously, as I'm projecting it and it's running, literally flowing through me. Okay, when I'm engaging with people or animals doing the healing thing, obviously, as this is coming through me, it's obviously benefiting me as well in some way. You know.
Well, let me ask you this: supposing you lost your ability to do what you do, how would you handle that?
I don't know.
Because you've always been able to do what you do.
That's the honest answer, Tracy. I don't know. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot from this with people and animals. It's a big deal.
Right. And of course, your lovely Patty isn't jealous of this other charming female spirit that's constantly in your life, is she?
No, because you know what? Patty understands it. Patty's heard Becky. Becky's answered Patty via me and everything. It's not a case of... Patty has no doubt. I mean, Patty's been with me for some time now. We've been places. She's seen things that the public will never even get to know about. Okay. And so Patty's fully on board. She totally understands. She accepts it. She enjoys it as well because she knows that it's safe. She knows what me and Becky are about, and both myself and Patty also, obviously, we have benefits associated with this relationship with Patty. With Becky.
With Becky, yeah.
I know not everybody is happy about it. Barry Fitzgerald, for example, during a segment says, "I'm not happy about this relationship Don's got with this symbiote being," sort of thing. But that's no disrespect to Barry. Barry's an absolutely great guy, as you know. But that's because he doesn't understand. And like I said, it doesn't matter what I tell people, how I try to explain. Nobody will ever fully understand how this works or what it's about.
But and Barry is an Irish investigator.
Oh yeah, he did the whole TV show scene and everything. But
did he say why he didn't like it, Don? Why he didn't like the relationship that you have with Becky?
Well, first of all, it's pretty unprecedented, and obviously, being from Irish descent, there's a lot of things associated with the Fae and things like that, negativity.
Right. Well, let's play the next clip here, because let me tell you, I was absolutely amazed at this when you first sent me the video, which I have to say was a number of years ago, of this mouse that was literally on the threshold of death, had fleas all over its body, and you were able to do what you do, and you brought this mouse literally back to life. So
no, let's not say that.
you know what I mean. But
bring things back to life. That might cause...
I didn't mean it to die, but I mean from the threshold of where it was.
Let's just say it was extremely poorly, and it became very better.
It was
in a very short space
extremely
of time.
poorly. Yes.
That
so that sounds better. Yes. I don't want our listeners to think that you can resurrect the dead or anything.
Exactly.
So, well, let them take a look at this clip, and then they'll see exactly what we mean.
Okay. One late afternoon, my daughter came in with a mouse, which had been promptly retrieved from the cat. The mouse was very cool. The fleas had begun to leave its body. I put it into my hand. At this point, I felt the energy surging through my body. This energy, you need to understand, is extremely strong. Now being aware of being able to project the energy, and the fact that Becky told me I could heal. This was the first time I tried to affect an animal. After a short time, I could feel the mouse actually moving within my closed hands. And I knew people wouldn't understand. Upon opening my hands, it wasn't just conscious, it was sitting there, and it was obvious it was now, for some reason, in pristine condition. It didn't seem to know where it was for a few seconds, before finding its faculties and deciding it was somewhere it shouldn't be.
That's 3 out of 3.
Hello down there, Mr. Danger.
Right, little fella.
I can't believe you're doing it again.
There's this little fella go. Where was he? There we go. Let's just tip him out.
Wow. And that was a happy ending there for that little mouse. You know what, Don? It's just so spectacular. Every time I watch that video, I'm still totally amazed at you doing that.
Yeah, likewise. I will just mention. Obviously, we didn't know if Patty, sorry about that, be able to join us or not. She said she's waiting to when you actually want to talk about the other part. She's decided that she's okay to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so I'm amazed. Just explain for our listeners, Don, how and what you're feeling when you do what you've just done.
Pretty much the same with the rods. The reason from that, you'll notice that the sound was actually missing from the beginning totally, apart from me doing a little bit of voiceover you for tonight's show. That's because I was pretty much puffing and panting. Because the energy, it's a strain on me, but it's not painful or anything. Okay. Now there is a difference. Now the best way I can describe this, and people reading this what they will. This is pure aggression. This energy is pure aggression. Okay, that's what it is. It is pure aggression. Now the other side of that. It's pure empathy as well. Whether it's an animal or whether it's a person, you feel the two things together. And I totally believe that one will not work without the other. I think there's some kind of balance thing going on there. You asked me a little while ago, could I do anything remotely from a photograph? Do you remember?
I do. I remember asking you that. If you a little bit like Reiki healing at a distance or something.
Yeah. Now, and I said I don't know. But thinking about it, although I never tried, I would probably say probably not, for the following reason. Like I said, it's to do with aggression and it's to do with empathy. I can feel sorry for someone, but I cannot get the same empathy from a picture as though I would be if I was actually there with a person, somebody that was suffering, or an animal that is suffering. Because you know what? It's that beginning of this energy that starts things off. It's a very emotive thing.
They've got to be they've got to be in your presence, physically in your presence.
Well, as far as I'm aware, because I feel there's three things going on. It is pure aggression, pure aggression. I said I feel strong. I mean, you saw the state of me.
You can see it in your face. You can see it in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's that. There's the empathy, right? And then also, you feel emotional at the same time. You've got all these three things going on. So do you know what, Tracie? I don't know how it works. I just know what it does to me, how it makes me feel, and what we can actually achieve. That's the honest answer. I'm not going to give some kind of big story thing about it. This is how that works, and this is how the other works. Because the honest answer is, I don't know how it works. I just know that it does. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's fair enough. Because I guess it has to remain a mystery. And some things have to remain a mystery, don't they?
And even if you know how it works, would you tell anybody?
Exactly. Yeah.
To be honest,
exactly. And even if you did tell them, would they understand?
Would they believe it? Exactly.
Yeah. Would they believe it? Would they understand it?
Right.
Probably not.
I don't argue with people. I just go so far. I just say, this is form your own conclusions.
Well, listen, that little mouse isn't the only thing that you helped to bring back from that threshold of death there.
Yeah, we kind of upgraded from there, didn't we?
We upgraded and a slightly bigger animal. And I want to show that clip right now. And this is of a crow, a black bird, a crow that you were able to do a similar thing with. So let's take a look at this, Don.
It was one fine summer's day. I was taking the dog for a walk. She disappeared over the field and started barking. She'd obviously found something. I chased over to her to find a crow laying on the floor, looking extremely lifeless and showing no movement at all. Upon picking it up, it wasn't cold, so I thought there may be a chance that it could be alive, and it could be injured. I decided to try the same energy to see if I could help the crow, and this is what happened. And just like the mouse, when it came to, it was in good condition, but didn't seem to know where it was. But then shortly afterwards decided it shouldn't be there.
Let's have a look at you. Let's have a look at you. I'll pass that.
This was quite a moment. Obviously a crow is a lot bigger than a mouse.
Wow.
You caught me texting again, didn't you? Okay.
It's absolutely breathtaking to see what you do. And you and I have had a conversation about this. Hopefully when you're able to get to the United States, I have, as most people know, my 19-year-old cat that has...
We're going to go come and see if we can
Yes, she's diabetic.
And of course, if we do that, we shall film it as well.
Absolutely, we'll film it. Diabetic and has kidney issues, and she's 19 years of age. So we're hoping that she can hang out until you're able to get here, so that we could do that, Don. But yeah, that crow. You always have 100% success with animals, don't you?
Yeah, I don't put myself under any pressure. I just do what I do, and I say the same every single time. I can't guarantee anything. I don't know if it'll work, but since I've been doing this and everything that I've done it on, there's been results. So that's pretty encouraging and quite powerful.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, for our listeners of the show tonight, if you're just listening to the audio part of this program, you really do need to go to YouTube and watch the whole thing, watch the videos, because it's that you're going to see that's completely impressive, because you're not going to understand it just by listening to the show.
You might not understand it, but you'll certainly find it interesting.
Right. You'll see it from a different perspective if you do that. And of course, there are larger animals as well that you have worked on. And we've now gone to a dog. So I want to show a clip of this, Don, as well, of you healing this dog. So let's take a look.
Well, this day, I'd actually arrived to see if I could help Bob with his heart condition. But Tim also turned up with his dog. His dog had some kind of liver or kidney disease, was very lethargic and clearly not itself. I agreed to try to see if I could help, at the very least, relieve some pain for the dog. I was open-minded about this because I get very drained when I actually do this kind of thing, and I'd never actually done one after another. The energy also has a physical effect on my body, making me feel very, very strong and making me feel pumped. At this time, I feel nothing is impossible. The thing that's important to remember is just like a battery. The harder I push, the energy and the time I get to use it becomes limited. I did wonder at this stage, did I have anything left to make a difference? Obviously, the more I've got, the stronger I feel and the more effective. As I was holding it, I felt it actually relax. Shortly after, it was greeting trying to lick my face. I saw this as a good sign, and hoped, like I said before, that it would have made a difference. Within a very short space of time, the dog was running, playing and jumping all over the place. And totally different to how he was before, laying around and lethargic. Didn't know how long this was going to last, because like I said, I didn't feel as strong as I would normally. But at least, at this time, the dog was obviously very happy, and it had made some kind of difference.
Yeah, okay. But, more than normal. Yeah, but I mean, you've seen him since he's been here. He just
just been laying on the floor and just kind of being.
Yeah, this is like a puppy.
Yeah.
I'm going to shake the dog right away. Ping.
We've seen, since we've been here, him lying on the floor. When you were working with Bob, I mean, he was laying over there. He wasn't being engaged or anything like that. At this point, he's been bouncing around doing the play bow. He was doing some barking with Jen, which he doesn't normally do unless he's commanded to do. So it's a different dog right now.
Wow, Don. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. The difference in that dog lying there to what happened.
Tim's wife actually contacted me today by coincidence, and I hadn't heard from her since I'd done that, which was over a year ago. And she said, since I did that, the dog remained happy, and I gave it an extra year of happiness and pain-free. So I took a lot from that.
Absolutely. I think also it looked like that dog knew exactly what you were doing.
They seem to. The animals do seem to. They seem to get some kind of soothing thing. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I mean, one of the major ones was obviously Jennifer's dog, the one that the vet said would never walk on 4 legs because of the injury. That to me was even more significant because it already been seen the veterinary surgeon that actually came to that conclusion based on the injury and the dog's age.
Right. And I'll play that clip when we come back from break. We are going to go to a quick break right now. We will play that secondary clip when we come back. And of course, your lovely other half, Patty, your fiance, is going to be joining us for the second part of the show. And we're going to find out what happened on some of the haunted locations, the investigations that you did, and to get Patty's take on all of this. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back on the other side of the Tracie Austin Show right after this.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
What really happens when we die? What lies on the other side? And is death the end? My new book, I Survived Beyond and Back, sheds light on these questions and takes you on a journey of first-hand near-death experiences as reported by those who experience them. I Survived Beyond and Back, available now on Amazon and bookstores nationwide.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button. So just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
And welcome back to the Tracie Austin Show. Of course, I'm Tracie Austin. I'm delighted to be with my very special guest tonight, Don Phillips, who we've tried to get on the show many, many times, and we've had difficulty doing it. But he's here with us tonight, and we're so proud that he's joining us. And of course, we do have Patty, his fiance, here as well. So we're going to add Patty to the screen. There she is. Hello, Patty.
Hi, darling.
Hi. Can you guys
How
hear
are
me?
you? Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Well, listen, what we were doing just before the break there, we were looking at a clip of Don that was helping this dog become, healthier and walk as it wasn't doing before. We're going to show the second clip of another dog right now named Cheyenne, I believe. Cheyenne. Yep. And a similar kind of thing going on with this. So let's take a look.
After hearing about my success with animals, that Jennifer asked me next time I was in the United States if I could try to help her dog. The veterinary surgeon had told Jennifer and Bob their dog would never walk on four legs again. He had sustained a very serious injury and was too old for an operation. I agreed to try and help. Do you remember me? Do you remember me? You good girl? So this is Cheyenne, and after a long time of walking with just three legs, Cheyenne was now able to walk on all fours. So this is Cheyenne. When I came out to see Cheyenne before, problem was she could only walk on three legs and showed him that one right up here.
She had a torn cruciate ligament.
She had a what?
Torn a cruciate ligament.
Oh, she had a torn ligament.
And she's too old to do surgery.
That makes it even more significant then, wasn't it?
Because now she's walking with it.
Now she.
When it's torn, they won't put any pressure on it. Now she's putting pressure on it. Can you bring her back?
I'm trying.
So just get this right. It's still torn, but now she's putting pressure on it.
Yeah, so she's walking with it, so she's learning to live with the tear.
But ordinarily, she wouldn't be walking on it with that tear. She would be like this all the time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite.
Like she was when you got her.
When I first.
She was bouncing on three legs. Call her lucky.
That was an amazing difference when I was somewhere and I came back. Because before she was holding.
It was right up here.
Yeah.
Well, it was that instant, wasn't it?
And when you did it, she was putting pressure on your hand.
Unbelievable. Like you said there on the screen, Dawn, from 3 legs to 4 legs in 45 seconds. That's quite
it was that
unbelievable.
Quick.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
What a difference. Yeah. Let me come to you, Patty, for a moment. And listen, thank you for joining us tonight. I know it was a little bit probably a difficulty joining us, but we're so glad that you did. What's your thoughts on your lovely fiance here, Don Phillips, and this amazing ability that he has?
Oh yeah, I'm very blessed in the fact that I get to be with somebody who has these amazing abilities that I get to witness and in a way be part of, and seeing things that I once thought were, in a box, right? And it's the most amazing thing that it's hard to describe to people and hard to make people, because people wouldn't believe it, So
Right.
He's an amazing human being. And I'm very fortunate to witness what I have.
Yeah.
Oh, you said everything I told you to say.
Yeah, okay.
Let me ask you, Patty, and I'm sure this doesn't happen, but this doesn't scare you in any way, what he does, right?
No, not at all, which I'm really surprised it doesn't, but no, not at all. Not at all, not in the least, because I've understood, when I first met him, I was more just in the first time I saw him do something, I was like, whoa, wow, you know, it wasn't like I was scared. I was just in awe, I think. So yeah, I'm always in awe of him when he does things. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Everything that I've seen him do is just whoa. You know,
Yeah.
I think people really do have to be either physically there to see it in its true form.
Yeah, exactly. You are exactly right.
Yeah, and I hope that our listeners and our viewers tonight are enjoying this as much as I am in putting this information out of Don and what he really does do. Not only with the healing then of animals, there was a gentleman, Don, and we have to talk about this before we go on to the haunted locations.
That was quite scary for me initially, to be honest.
Let me ask you why. Why was that scary for you to work on this gentleman?
Bob was a volunteer firefighter, and he had a pretty serious heart condition, and it's not something that I would normally want to get involved with. But there's a deep draw on the. I mean, Bob and Jennifer are very close friends, so there's obviously a deep draw, and there's a lot of empathy there, and wanting to be able to help Bob. So I tried it to see what happened.
And of course, Bob and Jennifer are the owners of Cheyenne, the dog.
Yeah, they are. And again, that's another thing. I mean, this is following on from Tim's dog. We was at Jennifer's at the time, and obviously Cheyenne, that was on a previous visit. So this was something new because, I mean, we went from a mouse. Well, actually, there's about 3 mice altogether, and then from a mice to crows to dogs. But this is different. I mean, this is a person. Yeah. And like I said, this energy is very, very strong. So whether Bob would believe it or not, I just asked people to have an open mind. I knew that when I did this, it would have some kind of effect on his body. But so I did feel a little bit uneasy at the time, but I did give it my best shot.
Right. And let's play that clip then, Don, so that we can show our viewers exactly what it was that we did.
Patty was there as well, wasn't he, sweetheart?
And Patty was there. So Patty got to see this for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here it comes.
Previously, my work is centered around animals. Jennifer asked, could I try and help Bob? I had mixed feelings about this because this, after all, was a human being. And not just a human being, but a human being with a heart condition. This was truly uncharted waters. And as far as I was concerned, not without risk. Okay, Bob. Come here today, try and help you. Right. Doing what I do, which won't go into right at the moment. So what's the actual condition is it that we're aiming to do something about or help here?
It's called atrial fibrillation.
Atrial fibrillation, okay, and that is?
Basically, as my understanding is, the top chamber of my heart basically is kind of quivering.
Right.
And it doesn't pump the blood properly.
If it'll work, never try this on a person. So you are the test subject.
My pulse is high.
125. Means I'm doing damage.
Your pulse is 152. He's on medication for the blood pressure, but the pulse is really high. And that means it's beating really fast. So what it is the electrodes in the top of his heart, the left and right side did damage.
But I just feel tired.
Fatigued.
Yeah, fatigued just because the heart's not working properly.
Okay, so the top number is his heart rate. 134, 135. The bottom this number here is his blood pressure, 161 over 112. So he just went up from 130 to 150.
It was time to begin. At this stage, we had no idea of the effect that this would have on Bob, and if it would actually result in anything at all. This was the first time I'd ever tried this on a human being.
I'm going to check his pulse.
Okay. So Bob, how are you feeling right now?
Better than I was before we started.
You're beating normal.
It was now time to turn to Becky to see what she thought. I switched on the recorder. The immediate response from Becky was a very encouraging, we've done it. But we needed to put this to the test.
68 is his pulse right now.
What's his pulse?
68.
68. Good.
That is like freaking. Oh my god, I can't believe that's 68.
Unbelievable. You got it right down to 68.
For the first time, the hospital couldn't get his pulse down, apparently, from what Jennifer was saying. I mean, the whole thing, I think it lasted maybe 10 or 15 minutes, sort of thing. But I was really happy they got some kind of monitoring equipment there. Now, what's important as well was I wasn't, during this time, and you know, Patty, I wasn't saying, do you feel better now, Bob? Can you feel your pulse coming?
You weren't leading him.
There was no suggestion.
No leading questions.
No.
And that's important. And this is the thing with the animals. You cannot convince an animal it's suddenly feeling better.
No.
Suggestion.
That's quite true. That's quite true. And the thing of it was, Don, as well, if I can just say this, it seemed that Bob was totally open to it.
Yeah, he was. And I think that's important. He felt great. I mean, I will be perfectly honest, because I am that kind of a guy. The condition did revert back to what it was previously after, I don't know if it was a day or 2 days or whatever. But, you know, like I said, I'm not claiming to be able to heal people of the cause. I'm not claiming to bring things back to life. From what I can make out, it's more to do with the symptoms from the cause, like an animal, like the dog. Its ligament, I hadn't mended its ligament. Its ligament was still torn. We took away its pain. It was now walking on all fours, you know, because it was taken away the pain. Or I don't know how it works, Tracie, but obviously what we did manage to show, Bob felt great for a while, which was the first time in God knows how long. His pulse and everything was normal. Jennifer was blown away, and it obviously hadn't an effect, which we had the opportunity to prove. So that was a big deal. Now, the only thing about this is, under normal circumstances, if I had the opportunity, I would have liked to have gone back and seen Bob every day for probably another 4 or 5 days to do the same thing, to see what kind of effect that had. See, these are all these are all one-off hits. I've never had the opportunity to actually concentrate for any length of time on any person or on an animal. So it's basically what happens right there, right then.
Right. Are you still in touch with Bob, Don?
Oh, well, we will be when we get back over.
So you don't quite know how he's doing at the moment, or?
Yeah, I do.
Well, he was fighting fires.
Yeah,
was he really?
Fighting fires. Yeah, but I think also since then he's had some kind of electronic treatment or something on his heart as well, which is, you know, so it's all helped. But
okay,
we're still in communication with him. Just
they're very good friends. It's just difficult when they're 5,000 miles away right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, look, let's push on here, because we've got still some great videos to show. Still have to bring you back to Becky for a moment, because I know you've got some footage
Everybody
here.
wants to know about Becky. Yeah.
Everybody wants to know about Becky. I know. My God. I mean, who wouldn't love a spirit friend to help?
She's awesome. She's my friend.
Is she? Does she communicate with you as well, Patty?
Through Dawn. Yeah. She's she takes care of me. Put it that way. Yeah.
Right.
I just interlude there. I did actually explain to Tracie earlier when she told you not to get on the plane, and she said, don't go to the store that day.
Yeah,
so
and you know what? I listened to her.
I listened, and you followed her instructions. And
yes, absolutely.
Glad that you did.
We don't question, because she's never been wrong about anything.
No, and she's honest. She's honest, you know.
Even this virus, you know, she knew about this virus before anybody else did.
Did she really?
Yes.
Before anybody knew. I asked her about this virus. She said, "This is very, very different." She said,
"Yeah."
I didn't know what that meant at the time, but boy, it was very, very different.
Well, very, very different, because it was created in a lab.
Well, this is now. I'll fill you in. Yeah, I know, Patty. I'm going to just mention this. Obviously, I've got access to information. I you know what? I just asked the question. I said, Becky, where did this virus come from? And again, you can form your own conclusions. What did she say, Patty? Can you remember?
She says,
because you was there, wasn't you, at the time?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's fine. It's fine. She just said it was on purpose.
It was on purpose. That's what she said.
There you go. Wow.
So, you know, we can go either way with that. You know, it's like, okay,
yes, you can.
She gives us a little you know,
A little tidbit there.
Yeah, yeah.
But we didn't ask beyond that. And what does on purpose mean? It was
No.
created.
Some things you don't want to know.
Right.
Some things you
And what do you
do.
do? You don't go public, do you, with stuff like that?
No.
Right.
Generally,
Do you think she does know everything, Don? Because I know earlier you said spirits don't know everything.
People always assume that spirit personalities know everything about everything. That is seriously not the case.
No.
She does seem to have some foresight on future events to a certain degree. That's proven to me and Patty. So that's certainly the case. It's an interesting life.
Yeah. Boy, it is. It's never a dull moment, right, Patty?
No, never a dull moment.
Wow. Well, listen, let's have a clip. Let's play a clip here of hearing Becky, because I know people want to hear her voice the best they can. So let's go to one of the clips here, and then we'll ask a couple more questions.
I'm going to say good night to these guys and thank them. And Becky. Becky, would you say good night to our viewers? In fact, if you could say Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas, anybody, quite clearly, that would be a nice end to the year, I think, don't you? Let's try that. Can you do that for me, guys? Can you say Merry Christmas to our viewers, to our supporters, to those that have been following us, for quite some time now? Thank you.
There we have it. She spoke.
I mean, that was years ago, but it was. We do that a lot, and I think people. But no, she's. It's all to do with energy, how loud she is,
right?
And things, but no, it is always. They're always fun moments, and the Patty.
Yeah.
Right. And
she has a sense of humor too.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
And she loves movies. She loves movies.
Well, tell us more. How do you know this? What did she say to
you? Because she comments on them.
What kind of things does she say?
Or, like last weekend, can I tell this, Dawn?
Well, you're going to anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm going to. No,
she'll not get into trouble, will she?
Just don't expect people to believe it or understand it, Patty.
I know.
But
I know.
By all
The
means.
thing is, I went to my adult son's house and saw my grandchildren. I stayed the night, and we were watching King Kong versus Godzilla, whatever.
Oh yes, the new one.
And so Dawn, at the same time, was talking to Becky, and Dawn says, "You had company."
Yeah, I just said, Becky, what are you doing? That's what I said to her. I said, how are you, Becky? What are you doing? She says,
she said, "I'm with the family watching a movie or something like that."
Did you really? No way.
I mean, I've got some of these recordings that I might put out at some point. But do you know what? People go, spirits, ghosts, paranormal, blah, 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 blah. And so this sounds bizarre. But do you know what? How bizarre is this? These are people that obviously still enjoy the same things they did enjoy.
Yeah.
Right.
They are consciousness. They can speak. So why the hell not? If she wants to watch a movie and she likes it and she says, I mean, we watched one night, didn't we? And she says, I've seen it before.
Yeah, I've already seen it. I've already seen it. I've already seen it. Did you go to a movie theater and sit in the back row?
Oh, yeah, that was another time. That was another time, yeah. She said,
that's unbelievable.
I've seen it.
Turn it over, turn it off, put something else on.
But you know what? I know this sounds really bizarre to people, but me and Patty just treat Becky as a member of the family. We treat her like another person. We can't see her. We have benefits and privileges with the relationship. We do good things. People accept it. They either take the Michael out of it or they don't. To me, it's of no consequence. But because you know what? It is what it is. And that is what it is.
Dawn, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I really do. I would love it myself. I would feel very comfortable with that. I mean, I've like I speak many times on my show, I've had my dad always pops in on the other side of life to switch the light on in the guest bedroom every month, you know, or sends me something.
These things are quite possible, but
Yeah.
you know what? To society, to science, and everything, it's all kind of woo-woo. Let's put it on the bookshelf in the corner and leave it covered in dust. You know what? It's time that dust was blowing off now, Tracie. Me and Becky, we can make a difference. We can show what's actually possible through understanding, through learning, not through assumptions and cynicism. You know,
right?
These are real people with real feelings, real talents, real emotions, and I think they get a raw deal.
Yeah,
personally, by a lot of people, especially a lot of people.
Yeah,
not a lot. Some people in the paranormal community.
Well, we've got one more clip to play of Becky speaking, and I want to do that before we continue on with
afterwards.
And you can explain that afterwards, and then we'll get on to the haunted locations, because I know Patty jumped on the show with us tonight to talk
quite
about
an enlightenment. Can I just say something about this clip before we play it, so it makes more sense?
Go on, Don. Go ahead.
Okay. The first part of the clip, there's a very loud voice which says, "You will find us over there." Now, again, this was at Tuckby Castle. On the previous clip where you actually played with the rods and the energy. Now, prior to that portal opening and me getting that energy, we was at Tuckby Castle for a long time. There was nothing going on. As soon as that energy appeared, the voices were popping out all over the place. And me and Steve went outside. And one of the spirits told me that their bodies was buried in the ground. There was a few of them buried, unknown, in the grounds. And I said, "Where?" And he said, "It was the car park." And he said, "You will find us over there." Now, this is the other side of the coin where, you know, I said to you about actual voice phenomena as opposed to electronic voice phenomena, ambient sounds resembling speech. This is a perfect example of that, Tracie. So at that point, headed to the car park. I thought he meant underneath the car park. And then Becky came in. It was next to the car park. It was on the actual grass. Steve, Chris Andrews and myself was there when Becky was telling me exactly to pinpoint this location. I said, "Where, Becky?" She said, "To the right, back 11 feet. And then we stopped and she said, "There." I then put a video out on YouTube to say, "Right, just here." Becky said, "There's a pit of human remains." Okay. That was unsubstantiated. Then Leslie contacted me from Tuckby Castle. She says, "Can you take that video down, because that's not known. That's not in the public domain." I said, "Oh, so there is." She says, "Well, we really don't know, but can you take it down?" So out of respect, I did. 6 months later, Richard Felix in the grounds of Tuckby Castle saying, "We've excavated this spot and we found a pit of hundreds of human remains." And that was the exact same spot where I'd put in the video, where I stood in the middle of a goddamn field almost. Well, the grounds are the exact same spot where I was.
Right.
So that was quite intriguing too. So that's that. And then again, this is the end part of the video to that. And then at the end, just for a little bit of fun, like I always do, I say, "Becky, can you say good night?" Because people like to hear Becky's voice.
Well, here it comes. Let's take a look.
Here it comes. See if we can do this. It's nice to finish off. Becky, sweetheart, can you say good night to our friends, please? I just heard something. I don't know if it was a sound outside, but it sounded like a very loud good night. No, it was Becky. I'm not trying to prove the afterlife and spirits are real. Afterlife and spirits are real. I am proving that it is real. I am proving these guys should be acknowledged, and I am proving that it's time that people realised it's not all things that go bump in the night and scary things and trapped spirits that need sending to the light and everything else. These guys are part of the natural world, the process of life. The planet at the end of the day it's just like a big recycling centre, and the views, the way of thinking, the way the whole paranormal research field is approached, until attitudes change, until methods change, nobody's going to learn anything, because people have been doing the same thing for 100, 200 years, and despite their best efforts, and with all respect to everybody over that period of time, nobody's actually gained any information, anything to aid us, anything to teach us more of that we don't understand, but that everybody's very intrigued by. Forget Hollywood, forget your ghost stories. Be aware you are surrounded by spirit people.
Absolutely. And that's the crazy thing, Don. I mean, we don't know what's around us all the time just because we can't see anyone.
I've said very many times before, there's very little provision in society for the acceptance of spirits being around and just being part of natural life. You know, it's always got to be associated with something spooky or something dark or somebody trapped. Or Becky is probably the most happy spirit you're ever likely to come across.
Right. And it's normal. Yeah, it's not paranormal, is it? It's
my
normal.
normal. Yeah, it's my normal.
It's normal. Yeah.
It's normal.
Has Becky, by the way, ever told you who she was when she was in her physical form? Has she ever said anything?
The only information that I put on that is Becky used to be a teacher.
Really?
Originally, she was a teacher. Yeah.
A teacher of what?
I don't know. I never asked. She was a teacher, and she passed in 1985.
She passed in, and did she say how?
It was a crash.
Oh, really?
Basically.
So obviously she's gravitated towards you because of your abilities and your skills, and is comfortable working with you.
Becky is my abilities and my skills. I think what the reason that she's happy with this union, with this relationship, is the way I approach it, my attitude towards it. Like I said, if I was a showman, she wouldn't be hanging around, because it's not about showmanship. It's about sending a message to people.
Right. And this is what I said at the beginning of the show, that you have no ego, Don. And I think of ego as etching God out or erroneous God operating. That's how I like to see it. And I don't see any of that with you. I just see a genuine person. You know, is that how you very much see it, Patty?
Yes, completely. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's move right along here to the haunted locations that you guys have been and investigated. Just to ask you real quick, Don, I know you don't take any gadgets with you as such when you're doing these locations.
Equipment. No.
Right. No equipment. But is there anything that you do use? I mean, we saw there when you were trying to communicate with Becky. Are they, just two typical handheld recording devices, dictaphones, or SB7, or?
Obviously, as well. Again, I put myself on the line because Steve said that I'm clairaudient. He's told people this before. He said that's proven. It's all to do with energy. I don't know what's on that recording until I play it back. But obviously, in that clip, you heard me say, I don't know if that was something outside, but it sounded like a very loud "good night," and that's exactly what it was.
It did. Yeah, it really did. You could hear the good night and the emphasis on night.
Yeah,
you could hear that.
But he can hear sometimes before it's on the recorder or as it's going on the recorder. Where he'll say to me, "Did you just hear that?" And I'll be like, "No."
I mean, Steve Mirror, several times, he's made this observation. He actually talks in one of the clips, thinking that he might have coming up if we got time. That I said, "Did you hear that?" I told him what was being said. We took a recording, and they were still talking about it and everything. But one of the reasons I use recorders is because I can my hearing is not as prevalent as it was when I was younger, because obviously as you get older, your hearing changes,
right,
same as everybody else.
Right.
But sometimes I can hear things and other people can't.
Yeah.
So it's no point in me saying Becky said this, Becky said that, because where's the proof in that? That's just a claim.
Right, it's just a claim. Yeah, exactly.
So the recorder, I mean, I'm 55 now, but so the recorder to help me sometimes, and also to help other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
and indeed, Becky, apart from when she's talking out of the air, I mean, that is incredible. That's
right.
That's
it is. And I was going to say to you previously, and I didn't say, I definitely agree with Steve Mirror that you are clairaudient, without a doubt. Yeah, I do believe that. So the haunted locations, you mentioned on your website that your long-term objectives, Don, are to restore some credibility within the paranormal subject and to advance what should be a subject taken more seriously within the scientific communities.
Well, originally, yes, but now I'm pretty much giving up, Tracy, because I've been around for a lot of years now and there's nothing changed. I mean, I'll keep putting stuff out and telling people, but I don't expect anything to change in my lifetime.
Well, I'm sure that you've watched many types of paranormal investigations shows, not only on British TV, but also on American TV as well. Ghost Adventures, Taps, Paranormal Destination, etc. What is it? Go ahead.
I stopped watching them years and years and years ago.
Well, let me ask you this. What is it that you feel, Don, that those shows are lacking? What are they not bringing to the audience that your investigation work does?
You know what? I don't want to pour water on anybody's fire, but sincerity, to be honest, because do you know what? Shows cost a lot to produce. And from what I've seen, my personal stance on this is it's all the same show with different people doing the same things, running around in the dark with night vision. There's a lot of suggestion. Did you hear that? I don't feel that. Something's done this, something's done the other. What was that? You know, there's an awful lot of suggestion going on all the time. And, it's spooky, it's night vision and everything else. I mean, there is some good bits of evidence that I've seen years ago in shows, but it's not sustainable and it's not testable and it's not provable. Myself and Becky have been in a position where we can provide testable, repeatable evidence. Now, that's never happened before. And this has been one of the failings of the whole subject of the paranormal. It's generally a one-off, and you can't prove it. But a lot of shows, people in them are under pressure to perform for ratings and to make it exciting. Conjecture. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but over the last 10 years, ghosts have been very much replaced by demons in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. When the original shows was out years and years and years ago, there was hardly any mention of demons, but now it seems that every show it's got to be it's a demon, because a demon sounds exciting. Apart from the fact the word demon has never been associated with anything negative ever.
Now, I remember you telling me this a few days ago when we were having a conversation to prepare for the show, and I was quite intrigued by that. So explain what you mean, Don.
During Greek times, the original meaning of demon was a protector, pretty much of what is associated with what you call an angel today. It was only at the inception of Christianity when the demon word was taken and changed. When I say paranormal researcher, I mean researcher. Out of curiosity and for knowledge, I take everything right back to its roots where it all began. And if everybody did the same, I think we may have a slightly different conception of things than what we do now on many topics to do with the paranormal. Right. But yeah, demon, Greek times, it was basically equivalent to an angel, a protector.
I see.
So there are some things that are not nice out there. They're very rare. But they shouldn't be put, all that are them are demons. I mean, if we could see things with our eyes that nature doesn't allow us to see because of the light spectrum, we'd be seeing a lot of stuff, that, that would really bug society, to say the least. So demon could, there's a whole lot of different things,
it's down to your own perspective. I don't do demons, I do good and I do bad. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Tracy, I've come across some bad stuff out there, but would I call it a demon? No, because what is a demon? Mm-hmm. What is a demon?
So there've been some misconceptions about that word.
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. It's the same what I mentioned before to you, 666.
Yeah.
That was adopted. And originally it was 616.
Really?
It was 616. And that started way back in Egypt. In them times, they would use, if they was going to attack somebody, they wouldn't actually use their name. They would actually use the numerics of their name. So literally, they would use 616 to identify a person that's attacking another to hide their own identity. It's quite fascinating stuff, to be honest.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, you know what? That leads me into the next segment of this then, Don, because let's talk about Keith Linder's house for a moment, the house in Seattle. the Bothell House and the documentary Demons in Seattle Uncovered. Now, if you remember, and I know you do, I was supposed to be with you and Steve Mirror on that trip to investigate Keith's
Yeah, we
house.
did talk about it. We did.
Yeah, but couldn't be there. Unfortunately, couldn't be there. Otherwise, I'm all over that kind of stuff. First of all, I know that Ghost Adventures were called in to investigate Keith's home, and they found nothing out of the ordinary, I believe. But you and Steve Mirror visited Keith's home, and there were things that you uncovered during the investigation. So would you share some of those discoveries with us, Don? And you did make 2 trips to that house, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Zach and his team went out, didn't find anything, and then because they didn't find anything, rather than them seeing that as a failing on their part or it just being a quiet night, they kind of was very suggestive publicly that Keith was a hoaxer and making it all up, which damaged Keith's credibility a great deal. I mean, Keith's a professional gentleman. He's got a good standard of living and everything. He had nothing to gain by just making all this up. So he contacted Steve Mirror, who in turn contacted me because of who I am and what I do. And I agreed to go over there. But the understanding with Keith, what we said was, if we find anything dodgy, we'll put it out publicly, because that's what we're there for. We're on a fact-finding mission. As soon as I walked in there, bang, I could feel it. And I uncovered a lot of spirit replies, a lot of voices, a lot of evidence. And in fact, I actually met the lovely Patty there, my fiance. I didn't know that at the time, obviously, but you know, she picked me up from the airport. This is how
things work.
I know.
Well, she picked me up from the airport one day. She, Facebook Frank, oh, can I pick you up from the airport and I can take you, drop you off, save you the cab? Yeah, sure.
This is only 5 miles from my house.
And she's still here.
Yes.
And she's still here.
A short ride.
Yeah.
Because you're in Seattle.
We just became friends.
Right.
So,
over a long period of time, things, but yeah, so I got a lot from the Seattle case, more than what I actually planned when I first went.
Yeah, because when you mentioned 666, I mean, we saw on the show that I did with Keith Linder, the 666 that was written on the ceiling, written on the walls, the very strange symbols that were
they
also
actually found the original things on the oldest ever tablets in Egypt. Which actually went right back to the Book of Revelations. The oldest version of the New Testament, which went right back to the 3rd century Book of Revelations. That's where the 616 was previously mentioned before the 616 came in.
Right.
Sorry, 666 came in.
666. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you've just touched on it briefly, but I'm wondering if I can probably get a little bit more out of you here, Don. Why do you think Ghost Adventures found nothing out of the ordinary? And you and Steve did.
Can I politely say, first of all, they're not me, right? And don't have my whatever. Second of all, do you know what? A lot of investigators do a lot of places, and there's a lot of places where they'll get nothing one night or for a week, and it could be actually one particular night. It could be luck of the draw when you get there, but to form a conclusion based on that, I think that's a mistake.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying I'm very fortunate, because every single time at any given location, in any location, anywhere, whenever I go in there, literally the amount of stuff I get instantly and continues, it's been 100%, no matter where it is. So I'm very fortunate, but that's to do with my relationship with Becky, me, and the guys, and the amount. My understanding is probably a little bit different. My expectations are a little bit different than Zach and his team. I'm not going in there looking for demons. I'm not going in there to challenge things. I'm not going there to cast doubt on Keith. I'm going in there with a totally open mind. Because even before they actually took that case publicly in the show, you can see that they're doubting it already. They're already forming conclusions before they actually done the investigation. Me personally, I just think that's not the way to go. I mean, what you cannot allow is what somebody tells you or insinuates about what's going on there. You cannot allow that to affect the case. You take it on board, you remember it, but you're going with a totally open mind, on the premise that, you report on what you find and do not let what you've been told influence the case. To me, that's a professional approach.
Absolutely. I totally agree. What, if anything, was Becky telling you about Keith's house? Was she conveying anything to you?
Well, it wasn't just Becky. I had no problem communicating with any of the spirits there. There was one. I went with Steve. We went to see Father Roy. He said he'd found out that Keith's house was actually buried on a Native American burial ground. Just his part, his part of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, I wanted to get closer to the source as possible. So I actually went under the crawl space, for quite a time, and it wasn't comfortable. But in the documentary, the first thing, there was nothing going on. I'm crawling around and getting hot and sweaty, and it was very, all of a sudden I felt this spirit energy, closer presence, and this voice pops out. It just says, "Who are you?" And it's as clear as that, Tracie.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I mean, that's in the documentary, Demons in Seattle. It's a free one. It's on YouTube. There's lots of things. After Keith was worried about negative spirits and everything, so I said, "Can you confirm that there is nothing here in this house with the intention of harming Keith Linder?" The response that comes back, which is crystal clear, human voice, was like, "I confirm." That's in the documentary. You cannot argue with that.
No, you can't.
Replies to direct questions. They're not being edited.
Right.
We experienced a lot of spirits there, didn't we, Patty?
Yeah, we did. All different kinds.
All different kinds.
But there was as far as I'm aware, when the time we was there, we uncovered a lot of evidence of a genuine haunting, but all I got was help from spirits there. They was helpful, they was friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So the I can't. That was 2 years before we even took the case, so I can't comment on that either way, how likely or unlikely the genuine that was, to be fair.
Right, and we know that Fox Television put the piece out initially. On the house there. Has anything followed you back home from these investigations, Don?
I asked them.
He invites them.
He invites them.
There's a wonderful clip.
He does.
Really?
There's an absolutely wonderful clip that's yet to go out on YouTube, which I'll get on the next 3-4 days. Me and Steve did a case in Yorkshire. Young woman scared to death. There was stuff going on. She was out. There's this. It's a long story, but there's some really good evidence in there. There was a spit at the bottom of the stairs, and basically, I said, "Why are you upstairs or everything?" And he said, "The grandkids," and it sounds just like that. So Becky told me there's quite a few spirits in the house, so I invited them to come back with me because I don't have a problem with that at all. Okay, so we get back to Steve's. I said, "Becky, has any spirits actually coming back with me? And if so, how many?" And absolutely beautiful Becky voice. She says, "I think there are 10.
Wow.
Steve just looks at me. He says, "Wow." She said, I think there is 10. And it's in a perfect clear sentence. So I'm looking forward to putting that out as well.
Whoa. Yeah. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers are looking forward to that too.
But again, it's followed you here, it's followed you there. Everybody assumes that spirits are negative. And they assume that a house is haunted.
That's right.
And you know what?
That's
a
right.
house is not haunted. The whole world is haunted. Wherever there's been people, there will be spirits.
Yeah.
But obviously,
That's
it's more prevalent in an enclosed area.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let me ask you this, because let's just touch on Brookdale Lodge for a moment, because and I want to come back to Keith's thing, because there was a certain thing about a tree there. Patty's favorite. So we have to show a little clip of this. But Brookdale Lodge, that was another haunted location that you both investigated. It's home to spirits of the present and the past. And Patty went with you on that. What would you say? Would you say that Brookdale Lodge was more haunted than Keith Linder's property, or not?
Yeah, I would say so by far. To be honest with you, I mean, you're talking, layers and layers of history and time and gangsters.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And not to mention in that area, there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot of trees, there's a lot of people that's gone missing through serial killers over the years. Brookdale Lodge was an absolutely amazing place, totally haunted. We substantiated that pretty quick. I mean, obviously the balloon experiment and things and the voices, and that's probably one of my favorite place to date.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, and plus I had a lovely Patty with me as well. So I mean,
absolutely, which makes the journey even better.
Sans Cruz team, you know, Tim and Maury, they was absolutely fantastic. Previn, the guy that owns the place, absolutely wonderful guy. Hank, the janitor, John, everybody was met.
Everybody was so great. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing people, and which added to it, obviously, and
Right.
the evidence. Brilliant.
Well, one of the ladies in the clip that I saw at Brookdale Lodge, and I just want to show this quickly before we get on to the tree portion by Keith's home. Janine Copina, I think her name is. She captured this apparition.
Yes.
Now, what is that we're actually looking at there, Don?
Right. Do you know what? I'm not sure. I wasn't there at the time, so I'm not going to comment. But as a researcher, let me talk at it from a researcher perspective. If somebody presented me with that picture, okay. Mm-hmm. She said she can see a skeletal figure. Well, if I actually look at the middle of that figure, the middle of there, the light white area, yeah, I can see a skeletal figure looking up with its mouth open. Looks like it, as she said, screaming agony. If I was to look at it objectively, what I could also do, if I look at the whole thing, I could say that if you look at the whole thing, that could actually be the reflection off the back of somebody with light, because I could say that that's the back of a person.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that is a possibility with that.
You know, and that's a person with their hair. They've probably got a leather jacket on, and that could be light on the back. But you know, this was Janine's experience. Mm-hmm. You know, I wasn't there at the time, but right. I have to look at things open-mindedly but objectively from both sides to do my job properly. Right, exactly. Totally agree. And why wouldn't you? Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you? Okay, let's talk about this tree, Patty's favorite, and then I want to show a clip of four guys, which includes Steve Merritt, talking about this whole thing and how Don reacted to the situation. So let me come to you then, Patty. What happened with this tree? What is it about this tree that's so intriguing?
Well,
big question, huh?
Yeah, it's a big question because it kind of goes into how Don got to the tree in the first place. It's down the road from my house. It's in, Snohomish, and it's a very old place. It's right. The tree is right next to an old mortuary, an old mortuary, and right next to these headstones, Native American headstones, very small. But him and Steve met there with a Native American lady just to talk about the history, blah, blah, blah. Well, this tree happened to be there, and he was drawn to the tree with all this energy. So later that day, he said, do you mind if we go out tonight and see what that energy was all about? And I said, sure. And that's the first time I had ever seen anything or heard anything like that in my life. I don't know, Don, what you want me to tell about it, because some of it sounds
we just do the Don and Patty thing, and we just be honest. You know, at the end of the day, my experience will be different to your experience. You may interpret different thing to what I interpreted at the time.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So
that would be true.
You can say whatever you want to say, Patty.
Well, there was some undesirables there.
That's a good word.
And basically, me and Steve were filming Don walk around there, and I've never felt this in my life. This is my first paranormal experience, really, like that. And me and Steve got so cold, and it wasn't a cold night, from the inside out, that Steve couldn't even hold the camera. And like, what is going on? And then Don was, getting these wild AVPs on his recorder, and basically something in the past had happened there that was bad, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically had to get those undesirables to go away, and I ended up being stuck in the car.
And you experienced something, didn't you, in the car?
Yes, because Don says, you're staying in the car. I'm like, great. So I was in the car, and I had a console, and all of a sudden the tree in front of me, all the leaves are moving, and my pens were going like crazy on the console. And I'm going, okay, I'm stuck in the car. I can see what he's doing, but I would rather be out there than in my car with my car.
Because you thought you were going to be safe.
Yeah, I know. So I was saying all these prayers I learned when I was Catholic, and then I'd forget it halfway through. Same, my Father and, Hail Mary. I was like, I couldn't even
wasn't
figure.
normal.
Well, let's listen to this video discussion that Steve Mirror is talking about this tree. So let me play the first one here.
Miles away from the house, and it's an old, basically it's a spooky old looking tree in the middle of nowhere, next to a graveyard, and also right up next to an old wooden cabin. Now at that moment in time, we didn't know what that cabin was. Turned out it was actually a mortuary. It wasn't being used anymore, but it was a mortuary. And this is when things started to take a bit of a twist, because by all intents and purposes, I can only consider that what was going on at this particular location was what you might refer to as something like demonic activity. And suddenly, I'm with Don, and I'm confused about this. I'm thinking, what's this got to do with the investigation at this house in Seattle? Why we're here? And I'm asking Don these questions. Why are we going suddenly to this place, Don? And all he would say to me is that, well, Becky wants me to go there. I need to go back there. And I said, well, why? I don't know until I get there. And this is what I was getting. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to go along, I'm going to document it and find out what's going on, trying to figure it out. And of course, once we get there, suddenly there's this sudden onslaught. We look and see an instant change in Don from his persona completely changed into frantic, like in battle mode. In fact, it's freezing. And of course, this is happening. And suddenly Don's looking over me, and I said to Don, this isn't really my forte, to be honest with you. And I'm thinking, hang on, what we get yourself into here, as you can well imagine. Yeah. So I'm looking over at Don, and I've got this kind of bit of a worried look on my face, and I'm starting, he's not realising, but I'm actually starting slowly edge back. Okay, I'm already 20 foot away. But these voices were so loud I could hear them from here. From what I can read between what's going on here, is that some battle's taking place between Becky and Don. It's as if Becky is utilising Don to help, rid these demonic entities.
Well, she's using his physical body.
She's using his physical body somehow.
And Don's happy with the relationship.
Yeah. It seems like he's intrinsically knows what to do.
Wow. Would you agree with that, Don? There was some kind of war going on between you and Becky, and
I won't. No, not between me and Becky. Me and Becky was engaged in doing some stuff that we do.
Right. And you had noticed, right? And you'd noticed, Patty, that Don had changed.
Oh,
just
yeah.
as Steve had said.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely.
This was the very rare, serious stuff that most people don't experience or even see in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
See, there goes that word that we talked about, demon. Steve just brought it up there.
That was Steve's called it a demon. I do good and I do bad. That's it.
Right. Well, I was going to say to you, where are you of the opinion today with that whole thing? You would not call it a demon today.
There is some good stuff and there's a lot of bad stuff out there. But you know what? I struggle to label something that I know what it is, but I don't understand it. How can I call
it? Well,
in life, there's people that are good and bad. We don't call them demons.
Right.
All I'm saying is, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. Everyone's got their own belief structures, their own belief systems, and their own labels. Okay. Mm-hmm. If it looks like a demon, smells like a demon, it's a demon. But because I don't know what one looks and smells like, I'm very reluctant.
You're not going to call it that. Right.
Call it a demon. There's good and there's bad out there. That's as far
I quite agree. I quite agree. We're coming to the close of the show here, Don and Patty. So we're going to wrap up. Boy, has that 2 hours gone fast. But let me ask you this. Do you think... She must be. Becky is aware of our show tonight and the fact we've been talking about her?
Totally.
You do?
Totally.
Absolutely.
And do you think, Patty, you're going to hear something about the show through Becky to Don after we wrap up?
Oh, I will ask her. I will say Becky.
I don't know. I'll have to hear it from Don because he has a recorder. I have recorders, but I don't use them as much as I used to because I just kind of rely on him,
Right. Absolutely. Well, Don, where can our listeners and our viewers catch your work? Obviously, you've got a couple of YouTube channels.
Yeah, I mean, everything's like over a year behind now anyway, so a lot of stuff's outdated still. I'm just kind of trying to get back on the rails with stuff. There's the Supernatural Files on YouTube. That's one channel. That's got some pretty good stuff on. And then there's my original channel, which got bits and bobs on, which was the original one I started, just called Don Phillips.
Okay.
That's it.
There will be more coming up, but
there'll be a lot coming on. I mean, the website, AmericanSupernatural.com. I mean, that's up, but again, that's not been updated for so long because of the COVID, and there's not been anything. And I've been otherwise engaged with life's ups and downs, pretty much like everybody else. But there's a new website which will be going up shortly on that domain. So that's one of the reasons why this one's not been updated, because I've been building the other one, which then it will be transferring over shortly. But there was information about the Brookdale Lodge and everything on the old website still.
Right. Well, listen, thank you so much, Don and Patty, for joining us tonight on the show. It's been wonderful talking to you and getting to know, your investigations and how Don's ability affects him and how he deals with that. I mean, it's truly, truly fascinating. And I've always been a believer in Don's work, and I've always wanted to share that with other people to say, this man is genuine. He's incredible.
Knows, we might get around to doing your cat one day.
Yeah. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I wish you guys well with your marriage. I hope Don comes out to you.
Waiting on that A1 visa.
It'll happen. It'll happen, I'm sure.
It'll happen.
Thank you so much, Don. Thank you, Patty. Greatly appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And thank you to my producer, Bill Skywatcher, for the great job that Bill always does every week. And to you guys for watching as you do. We couldn't do this show without you. And I just want to say that, just to remind everyone listening, that National Ghost Hunting Day is an event that happens every single year. And it's the last Saturday in the month of September. So we're a few months away, and it's worldwide. So maybe that's something that you, our listeners, would like to get involved with yourselves. And you can go to that website, which is nationalghosthuntingday.com, for more information if you'd like to get involved, or if you just simply want to be updated with what's going on. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course my YouTube channel, The Tracie Austin Show. And always remember, folks, keep an open heart and an open mind. Until next time, bye-bye.